welcome to Kazumi-chan Productions. I am Chris. I'm currently the owner of Kazumi-chan Productions. It's multiple production type of YouTube channel where I create tutorials, animation, and stuff like that. A big shout out to this individual up here. He or she suggested the tutorial on how to open a door in the Anime Studio using a character. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna um, do that tutorial. We're gonna use Moho 12 Pro. Okay, then we're going to use a new document. Let's save this as a tutorial. It's fine where it is. Let's first start out with importing one of my characters. So we're gonna see what is open. I think I'm gonna start off by making sure that there's smart bones in this character. So I'm gonna copy this layer, go over to the edit, copy layer, go over to the open door. And then we're going to transfer the file that we just had open over to this file. Save the document. Shrink this down. We're gonna first set up the stage for my character to walk. I think today we're going to do the right hand side so that she can walk. Okay. And then secondly, we're gonna collapse this whole folder. Make it invisible for right now. I don't really need it. And then let's set up a couple things into our work area. So we're gonna just open up the styles. There we go. And then let's make this a contrast color. So I'm gonna select this. Make this stroke 2. Then we're going to click and drag on the canvas like that for the floor. Let's also rename this floor. And let's move this aside, create a new layer, call it vector. And then we need a wall of some sort. So let's make a slightly different color of the wall. Then we're going to create the shape. Again, using the rectangle. Then click and drag in the middle of the screen. This will serve as our wall to divide the stage. Then we're gonna transition the points just by clicking up here. There we are. I just move that behind the floor. Let's also make sorry. Let's also begin making the color a little bit different for the new layer. So we're gonna click styles again. And we're gonna put in a wall, back wall. That's a different color. There we go. Let's select the blue. Then we're going over here to create a new layer call it BG. Let's drag it behind the wall by clicking and dragging versus layers. And then click and drag across the canvas. Okay. Let me actually show you two ways of going through a door. Real fast. So the first way is going to be easy. All we're gonna do is just set set up our characters and make sure she is behind the wall. There we go. And I'm not too worried about the floor right now. Well, I am, but um, let's actually see if we can adjust that. Let's take my character, shrink her to the stage. So, okay. On frame, I am setting up the character on frame 0, by the way. If I did not say that already, I know that I have not. I should have more tutorials a little bit later in the month. Right now, I am moving, and it's been a long story. And I don't think I have a walk cycle for this character. So let's make one real fast. Let's actually make sure that the layer settings for this character is already set. So I went under to the depth sort layer, enabled animation layer order, and that allows me to pull any layer from my character and reposition it. And then let's create a action, call it walk cycle. And then let's make sure that the auto keyframes are selected right over here. So on frame 1, you can press Control F, and that will freeze the frames into place. Now let's start by manipulating the bones where they should be. So and for this character, it's gonna be a little bit different. Let's also find that bone that controls the base. So I think it's down here. So make sure that she's pointed in the right direction. And then of course zoom out on your character. I'll just ignore this uh, ignore this controller in her hand. You might have seen my animation about Overwatch. Then let's make sure that the legs are pointing in the right direction. Then we're going to frame 24, then doing the same thing, pressing Control F. That will lock down the bones, or lock down the keyframes for this animation inside the action timeline. Then go ahead and right click, and let's press cycle, enter number 2. Oops. There we go. 2. Press enter. Make sure it's you have something that looks like this. Then go over to frame 12. And then once again do the same thing as we done before. Control F to lock down all the frames. And then we're going to turn off this auto freeze keys. That will ensure that we can get make sure all the bones don't lock together. It's important. Okay. And then let's manipulate these bones. So frame 6 is going to be a passing position between actually before we begin that we're gonna switch out the legs just like that. Same thing with the arms. And sometimes with Moho 12 you're gonna see something like this where it looks all weird and stuff, where the layers overlap each other. To fix that, go to frame 1. Okay, and then let's make sure that this bone that should be behind the body. To be behind the body, so let's make sure that this arm is in the back of the body just by clicking and dragging down on the layer. And a lot of times you cannot do that because, see, what actually happens is that when I did this body turn for this character, it's actually preventing um, this character to have the layers. In order to fix that, we're gonna make sure that the bones are correct. Oops. If I can see what I'm doing here, sorry. And do you see that? So let's go back into rock cycle. And then on frame one, we're gonna rotate that bone. See, it's important for us to leave notes in our animation, just in case if you come back to it later on and get confused, which is okay. So instead of trying to match up frame 1 with 24, we're gonna copy the frames, just highlight everything, Control C, Control V. Then now we're gonna just right click everything again. If my mouse will allow it. There we go. Sorry, it's been a long time since I used Moho 12. Let's turn that bone that I just selected, manipulate the bone. And so now if we play it back, we should have look something like this. Cool. That's something. There we go. That's the start of the walk cycle. Then we're gonna turn on the onion skin and make sure the draw behind is turned off. And let's actually mark frame 1 or 2. Let's actually make sure that the bones are aligning. So gonna drag the bones over. Okay. The only reason that I keep on going back and forth is because because I forget that um, where I am in the animation. So let's click and drag this bone up. And then let's go ahead and flip this bone over to here. And we might have to um, drag this key point where I flip the bone. And do you see how the character is almost walking now? Then we're going to select the other bone now. Do the same thing on frame 18, but we're gonna be selecting the other side of the leg. And sometimes you will see glitches like this. Uh-huh. Then we're going to select this bone. And sometimes you will have to restart again. So let's erase these keyframes. Don't worry. Then let's move these up. Yep. There we go. Let's test it again. Control F. It's alright if you mess up like this. I am purposely leaving it in the video so that you can see what you're doing wrong. And then we're gonna freeze the key frames. Again, auto freeze key. I want to see that right. I'm going to frame 24 again. And let's make sure that everything's right. Okay. I think everything's correct now. Now let's go back to frame 12. Drag these two legs so that it looks something like this. Now let's click and drag the arms again. Just roughly estimating where they were. Test this animation. Okay. Turn this off again. Turn off this onion skin. Okay. Make sure to raise up the like that. And you see how it just went back like that? That's because I selected the wrong leg. So let's select the right leg by highlighting the correct bone. Okay. Manipulate the bone again. Lift it up. Go back to frame 18 again. Let's go ahead and mess around with it. Set your straight this animation. And you might have to do this. Okay. It almost looks perfect now. All I'm just doing is just rotating this bone, or flipping the bone. And I have no idea why it does that. You're just going to have to play with it. Okay, whatever. You get the gist of it. Okay, we're going to frame 1. So, you remember me saying to you guys that we're gonna set up the stage now? We're gonna do that right now. She's going to walk from this screen over to this one. So let's do that. Right before we do, we're gonna add another vector layer. Call this door. And with the logic that I have, all the door colors are going to be brown. So we're going to just click and drag over the canvas, a rectangle. Select these 2 points, dragging it behind, just like this. And then we're gonna enter frame 1. And let's start the animation cycle. We're gonna switch this interpolation to linear. So that way there's no slow down with this character. So we're gonna reset the position of it on frame 1. Then probably on frame 48. She'll be over here. Then go ahead and shift when you left click the character. So we're gonna now turn the interpolation back again to smooth. Gonna put an auto keyframes. I don't know how to say it. Okay. We're gonna select all the points and do the same thing as we done with our walk cycle, of course. Control F, which will lock down the keyframes. So she's going to be opening that door from 54. So go ahead and click and drag the arm to wherever the door is. Actually, let's scoot her a little bit closer to the door, to the wall. Just right here. And then the trick now is to give the illusion that she's opening the door when she's stepping into this room. And then on frame 6, we're gonna put in a keyframe for the bones. And then let's go find that door. So we're gonna click and drag all these keyframes that we made for the door on 54. And then on frame 60, we're gonna go back to our character and make a different pose. So we're gonna drag it and then do something like this. Then of course we're gonna drag the head a little bit. Sorry, it will make sense in a couple of seconds. And then we want something like that. And then on frame 66, of course, we're gonna switch the interpolation to linear again. Then we're gonna make a keyframe. Then just have her pass through the door. Just like this. And if we scrub through the timeline, of course, it'll look like she's walking up to the door, sliding past. Oops. Let's make sure to save the document. Let's actually go into the timeline. Make sure that the keyframes are not sliding. So we're gonna just copy this last keyframe, then hold it at frame 60. So that way, she doesn't slide everywhere. So on frame 60 again, we're gonna pull up the action window again, into that actions that we did for the walk cycle. Then on frame 72, we're gonna lock down the keyframes. Oops, do that. And redo that again. And from here you can basically do whatever you want in this room over to the right. Okay. Let's go back to where she opens that door. Right along 60, I think. We're gonna drag out these points. Not those points. Oops. Let's zoom in just real fast. Make sure we're selecting these 2 points. And sometimes with Moho 12, you're gonna bump into problems like this. Just keep on working around them. And then we're gonna just slide it back some on frame 72. Just to give a little bit of emotion to the door. I know that in real life the doors always open, and then with the kinetic force of how you open the door, it will slide the door back a little bit. Okay, and that's a roughly a simple way to do your character walking through. and you'll get the picture. Let's actually condense condense all the keyframes. So type in 76, and then it will keep on looping like this. Now you will bump into a problem just like this one. Don't worry about it too much. Um, and sometimes with Moho 12 it will freeze. That's because it takes a lot of data power to process everything. But after this is done, you can render this out into a video format. That you like. But sometimes you will have to scrub through your timeline and adjust some mistakes, like this leg, for instance. Alright, guys. This was a tutorial on how to open the door in Moho 12. And then I don't know what to say. It'll be a couple more months when I can get my channel ready, up and running again, because I'm having some personal issues in my life. If you did not know, my father passed away about 2 months ago. Then right after that, I had stopped making videos because of reasons. Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this, and make sure to hit the like button for me, and see you next time. And let's try to get to 10 likes this time. Alright, guys. Bye. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel for new content. See ya. Bye.